Hey everybody, Karyn Bryant here, and I am so excited right now. I have got Justin Chien kicking back with me, and of course, he is the star of The Brother Son on Netflix, which literally, Justin, this is like the best show I've seen in I don't know how long. I just want to congratulate you on that because it
Oh,
has to
thank you
feel
so
really good to have
much.
such a great accomplishment.
It feels very surreal. Like it still hasn't sunk in. I mean, there have been points where it has sunk in, and other times it still doesn't feel real. But I'm really glad that people have been enjoying the show, and yeah, thank you. It's been wild.
Yeah, I have to imagine it's the kind of show that when you find out, and I think you even posted something about this, like when you find out you got the gig,
Hmm.
it had to be the best feeling in the world because I can only imagine the people that were up for your role and who didn't get it, like kicking themselves because when you see how good it came out, like you would want that role.
I was joking about this the other day. I think me and my the character that plays the actor that plays TK, we were joking like, man, if we saw this out now and we didn't get it, I was like, I'd probably quit. I probably would have quit because yeah, but it was a wonderful moment. I think in that moment it felt like all the sacrifice I had made to get to this point had all paid off, and I was kind of like getting into the UFC, something like that. I imagine for a lot of fighters that's the equivalent.
Well, I would imagine too. So let's talk about this because it is the whole thing, right? There's no such thing as luck. It's preparation, meeting opportunity, and all of that. And when I watch
Yeah.
this show, you are so you seem so perfectly suited for it. So I have to ask, obviously, how much martial arts training did
Well,
you
thank
already
you.
have going into this? Because you can't fake it in this one. And sure, you could have stunt coordinators and stunt doubles, but there's so much that you had to do. So I'm curious how much you had in your system before you even did the show.
I mean, I'd say I had a good amount because I
Yeah.
grew up doing martial arts. I started in Muay Thai when I was around 16 or 17. Been
Hmm.
doing that on and off for about 10 years. And then the last 4.5 years or so, I've gotten really into jujitsu. So that's been part of my daily routine. I watch it a lot. I study action films and some of the bigger action actors. So all of that's been a part of who I am for a while now. We definitely had to up the level of technical ability and up the level of my performance capability and capacity, but um, it wasn't going from 0 to 100. It kind of felt like going from like 60 to 100, something like that.
Nice. So were you were born in Taiwan? So that is like your origin story, and I want to get to that for chair leg. But so that yeah, so that is your. And I want to let people know there's not going to be any spoilers here. As much as I want to dig in and really talk to you about some stuff, I'm not going to give any spoilers away.
Sure.
But yeah, so it's been a lifelong thing for you then.
Yeah, I was born in
Yeah.
Taipei, and then I immediately, like when I was a month old, moved to Hong Kong for about
Hmm.
12 years, and then back to Taipei, and then I went to USC for college.
Nice.
But I made the decision to become an actor when I was 17.
Hmm.
I'd done a lot of sports, and I asked myself what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And I remember thinking, oh, like acting was fun. Let me give that a shot. And
Yeah.
so that was kind of the first step in um, what's been quite the journey so far. A lot of ups and downs, obviously, as most people would have experienced. But funnily enough, my own background is quite close to the background of my character Charles or
Okay.
Chairleg Swin.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense then too why you could bring so much authenticity to the role. Um, it is okay. So I have sold, I feel like I've worked for Netflix PR. I have
Oh, thank
told
you.
anybody that will listen about this show. I've literally was talking to, I don't
Thank
want
you
to
so
name drop,
much.
but some friends of mine that are on a very big show where people go like this and they play some of the action roles in it. And I
Okay.
turned them onto it and was literally just
Thank
talking to them
you.
about it and they binged it and loved it. So,
Oh my God, thank you so
um,
much, Karen.
yeah, I I tell people it's action, it's comedy, it's drama, it's everything. But coming from you, like how do you see the show? What do you see it as? Because certainly it is an action show and it is about a family in gangs, but there's a lot of layers to it.
Yeah, so what I've been saying is gangster, dark comedy, family drama with
Yeah.
heavy action elements. At the heart of it, I think it's a story between these two brothers and this fragmented family, this broken
Hmm.
family, and all these broken people come together for a common goal. And I think that's the part that most people find relatable,
Hmm.
whether it's my character or Bruce's character or even Michelle's character.
Hmm.
Um, to me, all of the action and comedy, it's what draws the audience in. But for me, what moves me is whenever a story has heart. And
Hmm.
I think that's what our story has, and I think that's why people should tune in. It's because even though it's a fun watch, I think at the end of the day, we deal with things like sacrifice
Hmm.
and what it means to sacrifice on behalf of someone that you care about or family, the nature of duty and obligation. I think everyone's dealt with some form of that, no matter what your background is.
Yeah, it really does resonate on a lot of different levels. And even if you didn't want to dig into the drama part, like I said, the action scenes in this are just outstanding.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
I'm curious, do you know your body count, Justin?
Oh, I don't. I'd have to I'd have to guess it's upwards of 40 in the show.
Oh, at least. Are you
Something
kidding?
like that. Upwards, well, I don't want to overestimate it. Something like
Okay,
that. I'm sure someone's done an official count somewhere.
because I would think just the Korean spa scene alone.
Well, I wasn't responsible for all of those. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like, I
that's
take on
fair.
probably like 10 guys in the Korean spa episode, but
Yeah.
the golf fight I think is upwards of 20.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
one of my
I'll never look
favorites.
at Top Golf the same. I'll
I
never.
know. Actually, that was one of our bonding activities. The whole stunt team, we all went to Top Golf and
Nice.
we duked it out.
Nice. Are you? And
Yeah.
you actually can you actually golf too? Are you pretty good?
I'm a little inconsistent, but I learned when I was young, so I'd say my swing is there.
Yeah.
I just need to find some consistency in it.
Same. Same. I'm pretty
Yeah.
good if I want to. It's like you gotta keep your head down, Justin. You always want to look up. You
Yeah,
always want to.
yeah. Well, you just gotta not overthink it, you know. It's like when you
Right.
start overthinking your strikes, you just gotta just send it sometimes and
I think so.
and
I think so.
hope for the
So
best.
exactly. So with those scenes, though, like you said, a lot of it, a lot of it really looks like you're doing it, and so a lot of it obviously was choreographed. But how much did you get to improvise? Like, how much were you specifically? I mean, obviously, I know it's very, very calculated, but
Yeah.
did you have room to improvise in there and to add your own input into it?
That's a great question. So I did about 93% of my own fighting. I didn't do
Okay.
any of my own stunts. So, anything if it's anything more than like a 2 or 3 foot drop
Yeah.
or going through glass or like a huge tumble, they wouldn't let me do that. They're people much tougher than me and much better
Yeah.
suited to do that, like my stunt double Michael Lair, who recently got his black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he's an amazing fight coordinator, fight choreographer as well. Um, I would say my input was in the early conversations with our other fight coordinator, Eric Brown, also a black belt under, I think, Eric Paulson.
Oh, nice. Of
Um,
course, Eric's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we had like a very in-depth conversation about the fighting of Charles in this
Uh-huh.
show. One of my pet peeves is when I can tell people are pulling punches or like
Yeah.
throwing punches with just terrible form and the stunt person selling the hit, but I know that's, I know there's some things that you would just never do. So
Right.
that's one thing that we talked about. The other thing was the accumulation of damage.
Hmm.
One of my other pet peeves is when a human character becomes invincible.
Right.
And Charles is an amazing fighter, but he's not invincible. He's not superhuman. He does take on damage. Um, and then the third thing was just how do we make this fighting believable? So I explained what my base was. We did one day of excuse me, we did one day of testing in the gym.
Hmm.
He ran me through some like wrestling drills, a little bit jujitsu, taekwondo, and that's kind of once they saw what I could do
Hmm.
and where I could improve, that's how they choreographed the fights, and that's how we kind of built the specifics of how my character would fight. So the choreography is designed for my abilities and my body.
Hmm. Nice. That makes a lot of sense then, and that's probably why it looks so fluid and so good and so believable. Do you
Thank
have
you.
a favorite? Is there a favorite fight scene in the episodes for you?
I love so many of them because all of them had a different challenge and there's a
Yeah.
different there's a different angle and flavor to each of the fights. But I'd say my favorite is the golf scene.
Yeah.
In the script, it was inspired by the Old Boy hallway fight scene. I also really love the Dino Fight just because of how silly it is, but also
Yes.
we were under such a huge time crunch, so some of those takes were one takes. We just got it once, and that was it. And I didn't have a lot of time to learn that one, but I practiced on my own a lot, kind of like shadow boxing. And whenever they were like, "Oh, we got it," that was great. I'd be like, "Oh, we got it," because normally you do it like at least 3 to 4 times.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad, and I'll never look at those dinosaurs from a kid's party the same way again either. Like, whoa, 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 yo, no, man.
Yep.
And that's one of the things too that's so funny about the show is just when things are getting too hectic or too serious, like TK comes in or whatever, and this and that, and like the whole golf scene, the whole thing is just great anyway. So I'm glad to know that like all that you can just tell that it's so well thought out and that there is so much care given to all that. But even though you're able to do some of these in one take, like it's flawless looking. So you guys, you nailed it. Like you really did
we had
nail
an excellent team and an excellent group of creators and writers. So I just feel really grateful and blessed and just really emotional that I got to play a part in this.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple things I have to get to before I let you get out of here. So,
sure.
The Gymkata line. Okay.
Yes.
Like I lost it, and I was watching the show alone. Like literally, I was on vacation. I was in Mexico, and I binged this like at night while I was there, and
amazing.
I'm howling laughing to myself because there's like nobody there for me to relate to. I'm like, you guys don't understand. Like Gymkata's hilarious. How aware were you of that movie? And like for those who know it, it's hilarious, and it was such a great like plot point and funny thing to put in the show.
I wasn't, because I grew up in Asia, so most of the things that made it over were the biggest blockbusters. But when I read about it, when they told me about it, and when I looked it up myself, I'm like, this is hysterical. And the fact that you have 3 characters that worship it religiously, I just think fits our show so perfectly.
Yeah, it's so cheesy and so great. I swear to God, like I think I had a whole conversation with Wonder Boy about that movie.
Really? Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That makes
it's
sense.
so. Exactly. It's such a funny thing. And so speaking of you say the biggest things got over to you there. I'm curious what your favorite martial arts movies are, or like, do you have kind of a library of go-to? Did you watch anything for inspiration, or just sort of in general? Like, do you have a few favorite martial arts movies or action movies that you really love?
Totally. So in terms of my research and inspiration, I actually watch more gangster movies.
Okay, yeah.
In the character prep process. But in terms of action and martial arts, my favorite martial arts fighting movie, which I think are different from action movies, is still Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I think the execution, the elegance, the way they capture the fights, the storytelling within the fights. I remember watching the 3-person fight with Zhang Zi's character and the older guy with the spear. It was just so clear who was who and who was fighting against who the whole time. The moves are clear. It didn't feel like chaos. They're shooting in the wide, so you can tell exactly what's going on. Michelle's fight in the dojo, I mean, and she tore her ACL at like the first week of shooting and came back and finished it out. To me, that's still the pinnacle. And when it comes time for me to shoot something similar or direct something like that, that's still, to me, that still hasn't been topped yet. But I mean, recent favorites, definitely have to shout out the John Wick franchise. A lot of our sequences are reminiscent of that series because 3 of our core team members were part of the original John Wick 1 stunt team.
That makes sense.
I also enjoyed Extraction 2 a lot. I thought Extraction 2 is even better than Extraction 1. I'd say those 3 are the 3 that come to mind.
Those are great choices, and I agree with you. Like, Crouching Tiger is amazing. I will just say you needed to put Unleashed on your list because that is my favorite.
Okay.
The Jet Li one. I say that because it's just kind of like the reverse thing, how you were getting these American exports over there. Like I
Yeah,
had a Chinese roommate after college, and he used to have to go over there a lot for business. And so he would come. At first, we weren't roommates; he was just a friend of mine, and he would bring back these,
sure.
wushu movies and all these things that were completely, and there's no English in them at all. But we would just watch them, be like, "Oh my god!" Right? And
Yeah,
so I remember seeing Jet Li do. I swear to God, he was like horizontal, like spinning. It's like this guy is unbelievable,
it's
like
incredible. Yeah.
unbelievable. And I got to interview him for when Unleashed came out, and I
Oh
was just like, I
wow.
don't like you are like you're
He's
amazing.
so funny.
Yeah, he
He's
is
so
funny, isn't he?
I expected him to be like really serious and like stoic, but he's so like super chatty, super chill.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, I did not expect this at all.
Yeah, it's cool, and he was so unassuming, and he did roll deep like with a squad of people,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
he was just so chill and
Very
everything.
down to earth. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just awesome. So the thing I will say, and there's not a spoiler, but when you so the whole story of Chair Leg, your character is
Hmm.
wild anyway. I swear to you, when it came time for the reveal and the whole thing about the origin, like I lost my mind. Okay.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. So I just have to imagine you're Justin, you're like reading along the script. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, what
Yeah.
did you do? What did you do?
We got that eighth episode not long before we shot it.
Okay.
Because we shot one, two, we shot episodes one, two, and then went to five, six, seven, eight, and finished with three and four.
Okay.
So I had not read that eighth episode yet, and I remember when I read it, I still felt that gut punch of a reaction because I'm sitting with this character's background and history for so long, and I think part of me always suspected it, but to hear
Okay.
it confirmed like that, I guess I didn't. I, as the character, never wanted to believe it,
Mm-hmm.
but I also couldn't. I also couldn't deny that it was just so. It just made sense, you
Right.
know.
And that's the
Yeah.
thing, is it made perfect sense. And
Yeah.
so it doesn't come out of the blue, but it's like a, oh
It's
my
like the truth that
god.
you don't want to admit. It's the truth you don't
Right.
want to accept. Yeah.
Right. But there is so much into it, and I do wonder for you, how good does it feel? I hope for the representation element of this, because as much as I wish I could be in it, and as much as I hope that for the next one, they should find a role for like a really cool news anchor who comes in and
I'll
meets
put your
like
name on. I'll put your name
chair
up for
legs,
sure.
yeah, like equally hot uncle comes in, and then we have a thing, and there, but no, but I mean, it honestly, I do feel like I'm watching this show, and I'm envious that I didn't get to be in it and stuff like that, but I had to feel like. And there's the line where it was Frank Ma's, right? I only deal with Chinese, right? And there was
Yeah.
something about that I loved in the show, that I looked around and I was like, man, this is like everybody doing their thing together. And I know that people want to do like, hey, I don't want to play a black lawyer. I just want to play a lawyer, right? And you maybe
Yeah.
don't want to play, an Asian guy doing this. You just want to be a guy doing this. But at the same time,
Yeah.
when you can
Yeah.
do something that brings in culture and heritage and history and so many things in a beautiful way, like I just thought it was awesome and had to feel good on your side doing that too.
So good. I mean, you're totally right. You cannot take that for granted. And for so long, it felt like the roles that we were able to go out for were exactly that, like a black lawyer or an
Mm-hmm.
Asian doctor, or where we had to kind of explain our heritage and our backgrounds and
Mm-hmm.
why we had to like almost educate people overtly with these stories, these roles. But what I love about ours is we had an all Asian writers room. And why that's important is because when you write a story like this, all the nuances are already there. You
Yeah.
don't have to explain it. It's highlighted, but we don't have to be like, okay, this is what it means to be an Asian parent.
Mm-hmm.
The story is just about people trying to do their best that happens to be set in America, that happens to star a predominantly Asian cast.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was incredibly liberating and freeing and exciting, where we didn't feel like, in a weird way, I felt like we didn't have the burden of being an Asian show,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, because we didn't have that burden and because we had that freedom to just be who we need to be, to just be these characters, with those cultures, funny way that actually I feel like represents us even better and in a more deep and relatable way.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like you got a sense of Asian parenting and child rearing and like I said, there is so much about the history and about worlds colliding, and there's so much truth to that too, right? About like how much history do we hold on to, how much history
Yeah.
do we still keep moving forward, and it is important to recognize who you are and where you come from, but trying to integrate that as you move forward in a new world. Yeah, it's just there's a lot to
Thank
it.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you did a great job, and I just like when I grow up, I want to be Michelle Yeoh. Everything Everywhere All at Once is one of my favorite
It's one
movies.
of
My
my
daughter
favorites as
and I
well.
like
Yeah.
bawling our eyes out and everything. Like
Yeah.
she is when she again no spoilers, but when I literally for Halloween I was like, oh, I'm getting a white suit and a bobbed haircut. I was like,
Nice.
boom. That's I was because
Nice.
she just like bam, bam, bam. I was like, oh my god.
Well,
I
when you
love this
do it,
movie.
send it to me. I'll send it to
I
her.
will. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Awesome. Well, listen, oh, last thing. There is an Easter egg. So for people, if you haven't guys watched the show yet, at the end of episode 8, you need to stay tuned because there is a little Easter egg in there. So I'm hoping that means that you guys are already picked up like for a couple more seasons.
We haven't heard back officially yet, but I think we need to keep the momentum up. We need to keep the viewership up. So if you haven't seen it already, please watch it or share it with your friends, replay the show. All of that will really help.
It is fantastic. I watched the finale again last night and I was like,
Oh,
well, maybe I should just start the whole darn thing over. So I may just do it again.
oh man, thank you.
But
Thank you.
literally, it's just like I won't eat a churro and not think of you now.
We just
And
had some actually.
did you really?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And I love to like watch seeing your stuff, like you're modeling, you're doing all this stuff. Like it's just cool to see hopefully that this takes you to a bunch of great places because you just absolutely kill it. And I just know for
Thank
anybody who's
you.
a fight fan, UFC fan, like it's so in the wheelhouse. Everybody's just gonna love
Oh
it.
yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite fighter? I know it's hard to put you on the spot, but like, are there fighters that you
No,
like to
I
watch?
actually thought about this for a couple days before I met with you because I had a
Yeah,
feeling you were gonna ask.
yeah.
Ah, man, I have so many. I'd have to say right now it'd be Alex Pereira,
Oh,
just because I think he's so funny too.
he
He's like,
is.
you watch his social media, he's so funny.
Yeah,
He's so like, obviously so scary, but
yeah.
just a hilarious guy. And I'd
He is.
say the fighter comp to Charles's character, I'd
Hmm.
say the brains of Volkanovski,
Yes.
but I'd say in terms of the lines that he throws, I'd
Hmm.
say, and the fighters throw with a different type of oomph. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
Nate Diaz throws the very type of oomph from different type of oomph compared to like I don't know who's someone that just swings like Josh Emmett, right?
Right.
Like Josh Emmett swings.
Yes.
I'd say Charles's fighter comp is Justin Gagey.
Nice.
Specifically the fight with Tony Ferguson.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's that's actually perfect because I would take both Chairleg and Justin with me when the zombie apocalypse comes. You guys are
Yep.
both on my team.
I would love to be.
I love it. Well, listen, Justin, just seriously, congratulations on something
Thank
that
you
is
so
so
much.
excellent, and you kill it with that character. Chairleg is so
Thank you.
great,
Thank
and you
you.
bring so much depth to it. And all of you, just like please let everybody on your cast know that they're killing it. And if Netflix doesn't do more seasons of this, they're absolutely insane.
Well, I will definitely pass on your kind words, and it's so nice to meet you and talk to you, and I hope I get to meet you in person sometime soon.
I hope
That'd be
so
really
too. Yeah, I was
cool.
gonna say if you're, the Vegas shows, like the Apex shows, those small shows. If you're ever out when we have one of those, let me know. Fly to you.
I definitely will. I definitely will.
Awesome.
I have not been to a UFC event live yet. I've seen a bunch of MMA shows live, but never been to a UFC one yet.
It's so fun. It is
I
so
bet.
fun.
I mean,
I
it's
mean,
the
yeah,
best guys in
obviously.
the world. Yeah. I was just at an amateur, like an all day amateur kickboxing MMA event in Taipei, and that was already so much
Nice.
fun. So I can only imagine what it's like to be at the something at the level of the UFC.
Yeah, it's pretty excellent. It's pretty
I
excellent.
bet, man.
Well, I really do appreciate you kicking back with me, and just yeah, best of luck to you.
No,
Thank you
thank you for having me.
for everything, and just I don't know, man, stay awesome.
Thank you, thank you. You too. And I'm sure we'll meet, and I look forward to it.
All right, Justin,
Yeah.
take it easy.
Thank you, Karen. Talk to you soon.
Bye.